Hello detectives, and welcome to my video for September. Now, the first thing to say before I start telling you about all the books that I've been reading lately is that for everyone in the UK and Ireland, the wait is almost over. Death in the Spotlight is coming out in just a few days on the 4th of October. I am so excited, and in October I'm going to be traveling all over the country. I'm going to be in Ireland, I'm going to be in the UK, and I'm going to be visiting as many places as I can to talk to you about my new book. So have a look on my website for where I'm going to be, because I'm going to try to get across the country as much as I can. And while you've all been getting very excited about Death in the Spotlight being out soon, I have been working really hard on my next book after Death in the Spotlight. Death in the Spotlight is Daisy and Hazel's 7th murder mystery, and in 2019 I'm going to be publishing their 8th murder mystery, which will take place at Deep Dean School for Girls. Daisy and Hazel will finally be back with their friends Kitty, Beanie and Lavinia, solving a very mysterious crime right around Parents' Evening at the end of term. Now, I've been working really hard on that to make sure it's finished before Death in the Spotlight publishes on the 4th of October, and I am nearly done. I have just a few thousand more words to go on that first draft, and then over the next few months I'm going to be editing it again and again and again to make it really good, to make sure the mystery all fits together. But at the moment I'm just in that first draft stage, and I am so excited about it already. I can't wait for you to read it in 2019, but of course before then you get to read Death in the Spotlight, and it is coming really soon, and I'm so excited about it. So that's what's been happening for me in the last month, but now I'm going to tell you about some of the books that I've read. And because September is of course the beginning of a new school term and a new school year, a lot of the books that I've picked this month are around the theme of friendship and school and fitting in or standing out. The first book that I have chosen for this month is The Boy at the Back of the Class by Onjali Q. Rauf. The Boy at the Back of the Class is about a very ordinary girl who goes to a very ordinary school somewhere in London. But then one day she and her friends turn around and they discover that there is a new boy in their class. And this boy, they realize, doesn't speak any English because he is a refugee. He has come all the way across the sea from the conflict in another country, which has displaced him and his family. And his name is Ahmed. The girl and her friends start getting very interested in Ahmed, trying to understand why he's come here, what he's doing here, what he wants, and where his family are, because Ahmed seems to be completely alone. And what the main character and her friends realize is that Ahmed is in trouble and he needs help. And so they have to get together and work out how to help Ahmed, and they realize that they're going to have to go right to the top for their plan to succeed and for Ahmed to be able to find his parents again and be happy again. This is a really lovely book. It's really well written, it's very funny in places, it's very exciting, and it really pulls you along, but it also has a very important message at its heart, that refugees are people who really need help. They've been through some absolutely terrible things, and now they need a lot of compassion from the people who surround them in their new life. And this book really shows that. It shows how important that is, and it shows what can be accomplished when people do work together to help other people. This book had me crying through about the last 50 pages. It's a very emotional, very wonderful read. I think this book is perfect for anyone who enjoys reading about kids just like them going on adventures, and who also want to understand a bit more about the refugee crisis, because this is something that is really affecting kids and adults all over the country. Onjali Q. Rauf, who wrote this book, is a very special and very impressive person. This is her first book for children, and I think her first book altogether, but when she's not writing, she spends a lot of her time working with real refugees like Ahmed. She goes a lot to the Calais refugee camps. She takes them food and supplies, things to make refugees' lives happier and also much more safe and secure. So she is a really special person doing a really impressive thing, and I'm so pleased that she has written this book. I would say that this book is for anyone 7, 8 plus. The next book I've chosen this month is Brave by Svetlana Chmakova. And this book is a graphic novel about American middle school kids, and the main character is called Jensen, who is that kid there. And Jensen is somebody who really struggles in school. He doesn't get along with schoolwork, he really struggles to read. He loves drawing and illustrating, which is why this book works so well as a graphic novel. It's full of all the illustrations he does. This book is all about Jensen realizing that he really is important and valuable, that he can stand up for himself and others, that he can be brave, just like the title. It's a really effective, smart, lovely book. It's really well written. The characters in it feel very realistic. I definitely think I met a lot of these people when I was at school, and I'm sure you will know a lot of them as well. These problems are problems I think we all have. And one of the most lovely things about this story is that at the end, Jensen realizes that it's not just him who's struggling and who doesn't really know what is going on. Everyone else at the school has the same confusions and concerns. Nobody really knows what they should be doing, which is something that took me a long time to realize, but now I have, and it's made my life a lot easier because I know that everyone else is having exactly the same problems that I am. I would say that this book is for anyone 7 or 8 plus who likes illustrated books like Raina Telgemeyer's and Shannon Hale's and Noelle Stevenson's, who likes reading books about school and school life, and who sometimes feel like they don't fit in and they don't know how to make their friends be nicer to them, because we all deserve friends who are actually kind to us, which is a big part of what Jensen realizes in this book. The next book I've chosen is another school story that is about somebody who doesn't fit in for a slightly different reason than Jensen. And this book is Front Desk by Kelly Yang. Now, the first thing to say about this is that I went to America and I got the American edition because this didn't come out in the UK until this summer. It is out now. It has a very different cover, but if you search for Front Desk and Kelly Yang, you will find it. I thought this book was really, really wonderful. It is the story of Mia Tang and her family, and she and her parents emigrate from China when Mia is a little girl, and she grows up in California, going to different Californian schools and trying to hide every day at school how poor her parents are, how much they're struggling, how unhappy she is, and how really difficult her life is. And her life is incredibly difficult. This is a hard book to read sometimes, just because of the things that happen to Mia are just so sad. And I really felt for her. I think she's a fantastic heroine. She is someone who you will not fail to really connect to and really, really love. She's such a nice person. You really want her to do well. But for a long time, Mia and her family are not happy because they move to a motel, her parents take it over, but their landlord, Mr. Yao, is the worst boss in the world. He's so mean to them. So Mia and the other residents have to work together to defeat Mr. Yao and make sure that they are all safe. This is a really lovely book. It's got a bit of a detective story in it. There are some mysterious crimes that Mia has to detect, but mostly this is a story about a girl struggling to find her place in America as an immigrant, struggling to make friends, struggling to express herself, and through the book learning how to do it. It's really well written, it's really lovely, and it's definitely very autobiographical, which I found fascinating. This is a book you'll really enjoy if you and your family are immigrants, if one of your friends is an immigrant, or if you just want to understand more about what it's like to be an immigrant. I would say this is for anyone 10 plus. The next book I've chosen is for slightly older readers, and it's about bookshops, not school. It is Bookshop Girl by Chloe Coles. Now, Chloe is a bookseller herself. She works in the children's department at Foyles on Charing Cross Road, and she is incredibly knowledgeable and nice. And if you want to get some good book recommendations, you should go into Foyles and talk to Chloe. This is Chloe's first book, and unsurprisingly, it's about a girl who is a bookseller in a bookshop. This girl's name is Paige Turner, which is her real name and hilarious. And like Paige Turner's name, this book is really, really funny. It is about what happens when Paige realizes that her beloved bookshop, the only bookshop in her town, is being threatened with closure. Paige decides that this is not on. She needs books, she needs this bookshop, and so does the community. So she and her best friend go on a mission to get enough signatures on a petition to stop the bookshop being closed down. This book is so funny, it's really fast-paced and weird and hilarious. I laughed out loud a lot of times. I really enjoy Chloe's sense of humour. I also really identified with Paige. Like her, I think bookstores are so important. They aren't just another shop, they are places where a community can come together, where people can discover stories that will change them for the rest of their lives. And If I was in this book, I totally would sign Paige's petition, and I'm guessing you guys would as well. This is the beginning of a new series. The second book, Life's Beach, is out now, and I think you should go and check them both out. This is a book for anyone 12 plus who likes funny books, who likes books about books and bookstores, and who also likes a bit of romance, because there's a whole nother strand to this where Paige meets the love of her life and is trying, as she's getting the petition together, she's trying to get him to notice her and realize that he loves her as well. And finally, I always choose a book that I loved when I was younger and that I think has influenced me in some way. And this month I have chosen a very special book that I loved when I was younger, but I had completely forgotten about until Usborne, the publishers, sent me a new edition. I remembered how much I loved it, and that is The Book of Three by Lloyd Alexander. Now, I have really strong memories of reading this when I was a kid. My mum and I read it together, and it was the first book that I got so into that I stole it off her and snuck away and read it on my own because I just had to know what was going to happen next. It is a fantasy story. It's actually one of the first fantasy stories I remember reading, and I think it's a really good way in if you haven't read much fantasy before. And it's the story of Taran, who dreams of being a noble hero. Unfortunately though, he is currently an assistant pig keeper to an oracular pig called Hen Wen. Oracular means that she can see the future. Hen Wen is a very special pig. She is one of my favourite pigs in literature. She is brilliant. So Taran is really unhappy with his fate, his lot in life. He just wants to go be a hero. And then one day, Hen Wen escapes and Taran chases after her, and he suddenly finds himself caught up in this massive dramatic quest that will change the land of Prydain, the place that he lives, forever. It involves princesses and witches and the Horned King. It is extremely exciting, quite dangerous, quite scary, and really unforgettable. The Book of Three is really based in Welsh mythology, which I think is fascinating, and it also contains a lot of really original characters that you won't see anywhere else and that really stick in your mind for a long time. As I said, Hen Wen is one of my favourite pigs in literature, which is saying something. And there is a creature in here called Gurgi, who is a sort of half man, half dog, who I just cracked up laughing every time I read about when I was younger. He is one of my favourite dog creatures in literature, I guess. He's pretty unforgettable. This book was actually turned into a Disney movie. I'm not sure if people watch it anymore, but it's called The Black Cauldron, and I watched it when I was a kid. It's fine, it's pretty good, but The Book of Three is way better. So if you love fantasy novels, if you are curious about fantasy and you haven't read very much, if you read The Hobbit and you liked The Hobbit, this is the book for you. It's really funny, it's really scary, it's really exciting. I would say that this is for 10 plus. It's got a lovely map in it as well, which I always think makes a book even better. Look at that. And some lovely illustrations as well. This is a really fabulous new edition of a brilliant book, and it's the beginning of a whole series from Lloyd Alexander. So that's all for me this month. Check back again next month when I'll be giving you my recommendations for October, and also giving you a very special publication day reading from Death in the Spotlight. Hope you've had a great September, and see you soon.